If you're traveling through different time zones, you tend to use the bezel, and that way you can back and forth it to suit you. And when you land at your location, then you play with the watch. That's what I used to do.
Hi guys, and welcome back to this quick episode on the differences between a Rolex Explorer 2 and a Rolex GMT.
For this video, I'm using my Polar Explorer 2, which I recently purchased from the Swiss Link. If you want to get yourself a pre-owned luxury wristwatch in the United Kingdom, go to the Swiss Link. I purchased my Batgirl from Preston's. If you want to get yourself a Rolex from an authorized dealer, get your ass to Preston's. So here we are. We've got two Rolex watches, two GMTs. And you might say, Brenny, why have you got two GMTs? Well, they might be the same watch, they might have the same 3285 movement, they might have the same 70-hour power reserve, they might both have two different time zones, but both watches are used for completely different purposes. Before I get into what you are supposed to do with watches like this, let me show you a couple of subtle differences. The Explorer is a 42mm case, however the lugs are smaller than the GMT. I actually prefer the lugs on the Explorer, but don't tell the GMT I said that, or she will get jealous. The GMT is only a 40mm case and yet bigger lugs. And if you look up closely which lugs do you prefer, and for me it is the Explorer. The dials are different though. This is a bigger case, which means it's a bigger dial, and the 42mm case versus the 40mm case is quite noticeable and a lot more legible. Another unusual thing about both watches is the screw down crown on the Explorer is a double lock, and the screw down crown on the GMT is a triple lock, denoted by the three dots and denoted by the line. However, on the manufacturer's spec, they are both rated to 100 meters water resistant. On the clasp, they both have the same 5mm easy link. Let me just show you. On the Explorer, you would just pop that open like that, and then you would just pull out the easy link system. See that? And then you just push it back in like so, and that would be done on that watch. That's on the Explorer. And on the GMT, it's exactly the same, guys. You would pop this open and you have it right there. You see that, the easy link system. So effectively the same clasp on both watches. We take a quick look at the 24-hour hands. We can see that the Explorer has an arrow shaped hand and the GMT has an arrow tipped hand. Show you that up close there. So that's the arrow tip and that's the arrow shape. See the difference? So I've established that they're both the same movement, they're both the same power reserve, and they're both the same depth rating. So basically they're the same watch, aren't they? No, guys, they're used for completely different purposes. The GMT is a true traveler's watch. If a pilot was using this watch, and say he was flying from London to New York, which I believe is 4 hours behind us, and in the winter it would be 5 hours behind us, he would then, as he's flying to New York, he would then set his watch to 1 o'clock, knowing that it's 1 o'clock in New York and it is 6 o'clock in his home time. That's when he's flying. If he's staying overnight, he would then pop this back like this to the correct position, and then he would manually open the watch like so, and then he would do it slightly differently. He would leave the 24-hour hand alone, and he would use the quick function on here, which allows you to go back to 1 o'clock. So now his local time is 1 o'clock and his home time is 12 o'clock. That's how I would use a GMT. And as you can see, the GMT has the triple lock mechanism, which gives you no more waterproofness than the Explorer on paper. Trust me, I would rather have the triple lock system any day. And then let's just put the watch back to the real time, because we're in the UK and we're not going anywhere. And there you have it. That is how you use the watch. So a true traveler's watch, the Rolex GMT. And on the wrist, as you can see, it's an extremely beautiful watch. And again, like I said before, if you're traveling through different time zones, you tend to use the bezel, and that way you can back and forth it to suit you. And when you land at your location, then you play with the watch. That's what I used to do. On the wrist, it's an extremely comfortable watch, and the larger lugs are the only part of this watch that I find just a little bit odd. I'm sure it's just me, and now that I've got the Explorer, I've got the best of both worlds. But again, fantastic watch. If you get the opportunity to buy this watch, definitely don't pass on this watch. Let's move back to the Explorer. With this watch, it's been designed for a completely different purpose. Sure, it has the same 3-2-8-5 movement as the Rolex GMT. However, you're supposed to wear the watch a different way. This is an Explorer's watch, and the second 24-hour hand is actually that. It is a day and night hand, not a 2 time zone hand. If you're a cave diver and you're in the caves for 2 or 3 days, you will be able to tell whether it's night and day. If you're in an area of high daylight and you can't distinguish between day and night, this is what the watch is designed for. Do you get me? A Polar Explorer. So what you would do is effectively leave the 2 times the same, guys. That's how you use this watch. So again, if you travel to another country, just set both times to the same time of the country you're in, and you won't go wrong with this watch. I've had this watch for a week and I really like this watch. The hands took me a bit of time to get used to, but they really are extremely legible. Just think these are white hands on a white dial with a white date wheel, and you would assume it's hard to tell the time. It is not an issue, guys. I can just look at this watch and instantly tell the time. The arrow-shaped 24-hour hand has also grown on me. At first, I didn't like it, guys. I didn't like the color or anything about it, but over time, I've learned to love it. I would suggest anybody that's on the fence about this watch to get off the fence and get yourself a Rolex Explorer. Last little nuance, like I said before, even though it's a bigger watch, a 42mm case, you can see that the lugs are smaller, and it really does suit the watch. I also love the fact that the bracelet is fully brushed. I think this watch is a definite keeper in the collection, and I won't be getting rid of it anytime soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next video.